Today's blip is on basal ganglia, which is an important part of the CNS in terms of motor activity. Like cerebellum, it is also an accessory motor system. So we'll revise with these following objectives to revise the components of the basal ganglia and basic functions of basal ganglia. Then we'll revise the clinical features of Parkinsonism, which is an applied point on basal ganglia. To start with, the basal ganglia consists of the 5 components or the 5 structures on each side of the brain, not on one side, on each side of the brain. To start with the caudate nucleus and putamen, these two commonly known as striatum, and the other 3 are the globus pallidus, substantia nigra, subthalamic nucleus. Then, to introduce, as I said, it is an accessory motor system. It will receive all the inputs from the cerebral cortex and transmit all the output signals back to the cortex. Okay, so it will refine the motor activity to the finest of outcomes and accuracy. So it is too complex to study circuit of the complex circuitry of the basal ganglia. So for study convenience, to understand it easily, we have divided it into putamen circuit and caudate circuit. These two are important circuits of the basal ganglia. First, we will take to the putamen circuit. The putamen circuit is concerned with the complex patterns of motor activity and it controls all this complexity in the motor activity. For example, you can see on the screen writing letters. In case of damage to the putamen circuit, the writing letters will become very much crude. Then cutting papers with the scissors, we need accuracy of the motor movement so that we can cut without crushing the paper. Then most aspects of vocalization, as you know, speech is complex pattern, as you discussed with cerebellum also. Then passing in football, hammering in the all these involve complex pattern of motor activity, which is achieved with the putamen circuit. Then, in case of any lesions, focal lesions of the putamen circuit may lead to A, B, C. On the screen, you can see A for erythrosis, B for balismus, C for chorea. I'll give one sentence on each thing. Erythrosis means, of course, all these are involuntary movements. Erythrosis means purposeless, slow, to and fro writhing movements, purposeless writhing movements of the hand or any part of the muscular activity. Then balismus or hemibalismus. Balismus means flailing movement. Suddenly you are throwing your hand onto without your control, without voluntary control. That is balismus. It may cause injury to yourself or injury to somebody else who is sitting close to the patient. That is completely involuntary. That is balismus. If it involves one side of the body, hemibalismus. Then chorea is involuntary dancing movement of any muscle group or a limb is known as chorea. These 3 are the applied points related to putamen circuits. Then we will take up the caudate circuit is concerned with the cognitive control of the sequence of motor patterns, which is all achieved subconsciously within seconds to achieve the complex goal. So, for example, I'll give for somebody is walking on the road. Suddenly, a dog is coming towards him ferociously. Then immediate reaction will be subconsciously within seconds he will run to safety and climb to safety. This all complex activities achieved within seconds subconsciously to achieve a complex goal. That is what is the purpose of the caudate circuit. Then in addition to these basic circuits, we have oral functions and basal ganglia like timing and scaling. For example, the first sentence here includes how best we can do the motor activity in terms of time. That is to determine how rapidly or how slowly the movement has to be performed. Then second thing, it is about intensity or how large you are doing a movement or how weak you are doing a movement. So this can be adjusted according to the complex goal so that timing and scaling is also a function of basal ganglia. Then come to the applied aspect, which is interesting. The disease is known as paralysis agitans or Parkinson's disease. Sometimes it is also known as shaking palsy. It is due to widespread destruction of substantia nigra, or you can also say nigrostriatal pathway, because the caudate nucleus and putamen commonly known as striatum. If the substantia nigra, which is transmitting dopaminergic fibers to this striatum, if it is damaged, you will get deficiency of dopamine, resulting in this Parkinson's disease. So that is the point here given. Dopamine secreting nerve fibers are damaged. Then this is characterized by rigidity, echinacea, tremor. How to remember it? R for R here. I'll come back. R here, R-A-T, rat. R for rigidity, A for echinacea, T for tremor. You can remember like that way. Then we can add gait on the top of it. First we will come one by one. Rigidity of much of the musculature of the body, as well as if it involves the facial musculature, it will result in mask-like face. That you have to mention and highlight it. Then akinesia means serious inability to initiate any motor activity. That means the cognitive control or cognitive initiation or psychic drive is lost because dopamine is not there. Then tremor is resting tremor when compared to the intentional tremor, which we have seen in cerebellar lesion. This is resting tremor that is observed while the hand is in rest with the frequency around 6 Hz. Then gait is pestilent gait, which is also known as shuffling gait, with the short steps as if he is falling forward, stepping forward, and no associated hand movements also. That gait is known as pestilent gait and shuffling gait. One slide on management we'll see. So we'll start with the levodopa, because if you give dopa, it can't cross the blood-brain barrier and it will have many peripheral effects, side effects. To avoid that, we'll give levodopa that will cross the blood-brain barrier, and dopamine is released to the brain where it is necessary in the limbic systems and the limbic system as well as in the basal ganglia, so that all the symptoms can be relieved, especially rigidity and akinesia can be relieved immediately. Then L-deprenyl is one of its kind of drug which will inhibit the MAO, means monoamine oxidase. One of the monoamine is dopamine, so that it is inhibiting monoamine oxidase, so that destruction of dopamine will be limited, so that more dopamine is made available, so that the symptoms can be relieved. Then I am also giving a self-assessment MCQ, 10 MCQs in the description box. You can see the link of Google Form, so that you can assess yourself how good you are in cerebellum and basal ganglia. Okay, see you in the next class.